everyone, and welcome to Money Matters with Shannon Jackson. On today's show, a new year is upon us. And as this new year begins, it's time to think about how you can make 2026 your best financial year yet. It's no surprise that paying down debt and improving one's finances tops the list of resolutions for Canadians. And it has been that way for several years now. And as we know, surveys show resolutions don't always stick. So, how do you make this your best year yet? With advice on that, I'm joined by Johanna Boven-MacLean, Senior Insolvency Advisor with BDO Debt Solutions. Johanna, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Before we get into our main discussion, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your role at BDO Debt Solutions?
Of course. So I've been working for BDO since 2017 as a senior insolvency advisor, helping people restructure their finances. I have over 30 years experience in banking, finance, credit counseling, and insolvency. I'm also very active in my community, and I'm delivering a lot of free financial presentations, which I'm extremely passionate about as well.
We're a couple weeks already into the new year, and we know that many of us make resolutions. I do this myself. And for more than a decade, surveys have shown among the top resolutions of Canadians, including many here in Ontario, is improving their financial health. And topping that list of things to do is, of course, paying down debt. Now, we know resolutions are difficult to keep. So this is why instead of making a debt repayment or as a sort of a direct resolution for 2026, BDO Debt Solutions is recommending putting in place a full 2026 financial plan. So Johanna, I think this is the year to do that. If somebody hasn't done this, 2026 is the year to do it.
It's the year to do it. Absolutely. I agree, Shannon. So based on surveys like the annual CIBC survey that comes out between Christmas and New Year's, paying down debt and improving one's financial health is always a top priority for many people. It's been among the top resolutions of Canadians for more than a decade now, and this year, no doubt, will be no different, Shannon. And while it is positive to see so many people focused on improving their financial health, it is important to note, and polls prove this, that we're not always successful with our New Year's resolutions. I know I have a bit of a problem with that myself. According to one study, most people quit before the end of January. Nearly half, approximately 43%, expect to fail before February. 1 out of 4 quit within the first week of setting their New Year's resolution. Only 9% see the resolutions through until succession. Think about that. This means 90% of those who make resolutions do not see them through. This is why at BDO Debt Solutions, we recommend instead of a resolution, make it your 2026 financial plan.
I think that's so true. I mean, having a more fulsome plan for the year, because that's going to include repaying your debt, maybe prioritize savings or something like that, but it's all encompassed into your financial plan. So Johanna, can you talk about the benefits of having that plan? How can people get started in this?
Well, a financial plan will help lessen your financial stress. And I know a lot of people are feeling financial stress these days, especially for households that are struggling and are feeling very overwhelmed. Let's face it, Shannon, right now, many households, including many here in Ontario, are feeling the financial strain due to high costs of pretty much everything. We also know there is a lot of economic uncertainty due to the trade war with the United States. Having a financial plan will help you better manage your money. So where do we start? Key to creating your financial plan is knowing where you are and where you want to be. Then you can outline how you're going to achieve your goals. Start by taking an honest, and I mean an honest, look at your current financial situation. Your income, your expenses. Is there savings? What are the challenges? What are your successes? How much do you owe? Are you keeping up with your monthly payments? We already know from Equifax Canada that Canadians are struggling to keep up with their monthly payments, especially here in Ontario. The Equifax Canada latest Consumer Trends Report, which was just released a few weeks ago, Delinquencies are soaring. Our province has the highest delinquency rate of all the other provinces, about 20%. And we know leading into the holiday, many were planning on using credit to fund the festive season. A key element of your financial plan is your household budget. Do you have a household budget? If you don't, now is a good time to start putting one in place. If you do, is it still meeting your needs? Are there areas where you can trim or cut back spending, freeing up funds for debt repayment, savings, retirement investments? As part of our budget planning, you will also want to think about your financial goal. What do you want to accomplish this year, in the next few years? And when setting goals, I want to stress that it's important to be realistic or SMART goals. Be very specific about what aspect of your personal finances you want to improve. Your objects could range from paying down a single credit card debt to including an emergency fund in your budget, so you'll be able to manage a life without taking on additional debt. Measurable. Make sure that your goals include specific dollar amounts and timelines. Being thorough is key here. By making sure that your goal is measurable, you have a much higher chance of achieving it. Action-oriented. Here's where you put your plan into practice. How will you achieve your goal and make it measurable? To go back to your budget here, again, this will show you exactly where your money is going. Realistic. This is that word again. Make sure you set targets that are achievable and within your capabilities, ensuring that your debt management goals are realistic for you and your current financial situation sets you up for success. Timelines. Setting a date for when you want to achieve your goals adds more stability to your financial planning. Make sure that your deadline is reasonable and gives enough time for you to meet your targets. An example could be, yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you give us an example of a SMART goal?
Of course. So if you're carrying a $5,000 on a credit card and living paycheck to paycheck, it really isn't realistic to expect you to pay that off in a month or two. Thinking that you can only set up for the defeat and discouragement. You are basically setting yourself up for failure in this case. However, with budgeting, you might be able to pay down that credit card debt by making payments over a longer period of time. And as you see, your balances decrease each month. That will make you feel like you're accomplishing your goal, which of course will motivate you to continue until the debt is repaid.
Sorry, I absolutely agree with you on that, because we need to have that structure, I think, when we're setting these goals for ourselves, right? Now,
Absolutely.
I just wanted to touch back on the budgeting part of things.
Of course.
I mean, a budget, I often tell people a budget it's not a strict, well,
Right.
it can be a strict, but it's more of a guideline,
Right.
because it can be changed. We
Right.
know life happens, right? And it's just really taking a look at what are our basic needs? What do we need to budget for on a daily, monthly basis?
That's right.
And then in addition to that, what are our goals? What are our wants? And so when you talk to people about budgeting, do you go through maybe some examples of what are needs versus wants?
Of course, absolutely. I tend to do a lot of fixed cost budgeting with people, which is a very, what it does is there's different types of budgets and stuff, and sometimes they can be very complicated. And the more complicated a budget can be, people to feel that they can't achieve that, right? So always making sure that your fixed costs are paid. So what's a fixed cost? It could be your rent, your mortgage, your phone bill, insurances, if there's a car payment. Those are fixed costs that really don't fluctuate. And the other costs that fluctuate are things like food and gas and entertainment, right? So by talking to them about no matter what, we need to meet your fixed costs every single month. That's the most important thing to do. And then what's left over after that, what are we going to do with it? Right? That's when we can start making some goals out of that. And they have to be, and you're right, Shannon, when we're dealing with budgets, I tell people all the time, they can be changed every month. Something comes up. I mean, maybe a child needs like a new winter coat. Maybe you didn't have that in your budget, right? Or maybe you got a flat tire. I mean, things come up and a budget can be changed. And so knowing that, I think people feel that's a much more achievable when they can look at it from that point of view. So it's not so rigid.
And I think as we're putting together our annual financial plan, it's important to think about those things that can come up out of nowhere,
Right.
like car repairs, clothes for the kids,
That's right.
back to school, Christmas and holidays and birthdays.
Yeah.
And I think we can actually work those things into our financial plan so that we are more prepared for when they come up out of nowhere. So I think all of that is really important. And of course, setting those SMART goals. When it comes to those goals, especially when paying down debt, I feel like you almost want to work backwards.
Right.
Where if the goal is I'm paying down $5,000, what do I have to work with in my budget? And what kind of time frame do I want to accomplish this? And that time frame may have to be flexible. You may want to pay it off in 6 months, but looking at your budget, that might not be manageable.
Right.
And so I think it's important to think, if my goal is to pay it off in 18 months, 24 months,
right,
what do I need to be making as a payment towards that debt to reach that goal? Would you agree with that?
100%, I agree with that. And it's even just trying to change some things too, like, you know, understanding interest. I mean, we don't really know a lot about that, right? We're not really educated in school to talk about finances and interest and how does that really work? And sometimes what I do, if people get paid bi-weekly, you know, you can accelerate even your debt payments by making your bi-weekly payments, and it cuts down on interest, right? So it's taking a look at what is going to work out for you in your household. How do you get paid even is it can also be like, are you weekly, bi-weekly, you know, once a month? I mean, that, right? So I think, yeah, it's very, very important, but to also give yourself some forgiveness and some room, because if it's way too strict, then if you don't achieve it, then you'll feel like you failed, and you feel like you failed yourself. And that's not what we want to do. We want to encourage people to feel like, I want to get a handle on it. I want to budget. I want to manage my money better, right? And I think that's the key here, is allowing people that it's okay if you failed your budget for a couple of months, but let's just get back on track, right? There's lots of tools and resources. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. Give yourself some forgiveness in this practice, because it does take practice and a little bit of discipline to get through this. So really appreciate all of that information. Now, of course, creating your financial plan is just the first step. It's also important to review your plan and ensure that you are staying on track, meeting those goals, not just at the start of the year, but throughout the whole year, and hopefully carrying that habit for many years into the future. And Joanna's going to have some really great advice for you when Money Matters returns after the break. Welcome back to Money Matters with Shannon Jackson. My guest today is Johanna Boven-MacLean, Senior Insolvency Advisor with BDO Debt Solutions. And we are into a new year with an opportunity to make a fresh financial start. And that's why we're talking about putting in place a 2026 financial plan, a plan that will help you manage financially not only this year, but in years to come. So Joanna, before the break, you offered some really great advice for our viewers on taking that first step in creating that financial plan. And I know many of those who are watching are going to take it and run with it and go for it. What kind of advice do you have to keep someone motivated to stay on track through the year?
Right. Yes. If the past few years have taught us anything, Shannon, it is that life happens, situations change. Think about it. First, it was a pandemic, then record high inflation, followed by higher interest rates. We've seen a lot of economic uncertainty over the past few years. And now we're continuing to deal with the ongoing tariff dispute with the United States. Many Ontarians are struggling and worried about their financial well-being. Reviewing your financial plan is very important, whether that be monthly, quarterly, even bi-weekly. It's all up to you. Reviewing your plan allows you to see how you're doing. Are you meeting your goals? Is your budget working for you? Do you have to make some adjustments? And that's way okay to do that, Shannon. What you do not want to do is to create your financial plan, put it aside, and not look at it until the end of the year when it's too late to do anything about it. And of course, reviewing your plan will ensure your plan is meeting your needs.
There can be changes that happen, right, in life.
Right.
And we're gonna go into that here in a second. But I think it's important that you might find a couple months into this new year that maybe the goal that you set for yourself, maybe you're just struggling just a little bit and you just need to make a small adjustment.
That's right.
Or maybe your wants and needs have changed.
Right.
And so I think it's really important that even though you set this plan in place, it is absolutely okay to make adjustments. And like you said in the first segment, give yourself some forgiveness.
Right.
It's
right.
There's nothing wrong with making these changes and giving yourself a little bit of breathing room.
Right.
So that maybe raises the question, Johanna, when should we be updating our plan?
As mentioned, if the past few years have taught us anything, it is that things change. Reviewing your financial plan regularly will help to ensure you're managing these changes. Your financial plan should also be updated if a life event occurs or your priorities change over the year. This could include things like you have a job promotion, pay raise, or could be a job loss, birth of a child, a marriage or a marriage breakdown, long-term illness, a family death that will impact family income, maybe an inheritance.
Yes, there's lots of things that can happen really out of the blue. And you probably meet with a lot of people who come and see you that are maybe having some financial difficulty. And really the only reason they're in there to see you is because something has happened beyond their control. Do you find that?
I absolutely find that. And when I meet with clients, that's often what I kind of start off with because people are it's very hard to ask for help, Shannon, whether it's physically, mentally, and especially financially. So to give them a little bit of the compassion that they need, and letting them know that there's so many things that happen to us that are out of our control. Like we said, you don't get married thinking that we're going to get divorced, right? You don't go to the doctor for your checkup and all of a sudden you may have, an illness. So yeah, those things are very, very important. And the compassion, for people, because I know how hard it is to ask for help.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It is a difficult thing to go through. And these things come up out of the blue. So now we know when people make the commitment to improve their financial health, they may want to reach out to an expert. I mean, when we maybe want to lose some weight, we talk to
Yes.
a trainer or maybe a dietitian, or maybe we
Yes.
talk to our doctor and things like that. Should our viewers, when they're looking at their financial health, should they be reaching out to a professional?
Absolutely. If growing your savings or investments is your focus, your goal, maybe it's time to sit down with a financial planner. And important to point out, research shows that there are benefits. According to Financial Planning Canada, those with a financial plan feel more on track with their financial goals and retirement plan, that they have improved their ability to save, more confident that they can deal with financial challenges in life, better able to indulge in their discretionary spending goals, on track with financial affairs, able to save more. For those struggling with debt or those who want to reduce their level of debt, I recommend meeting with a licensed insolvency trustee. A LIT can help you make an informed decision about how to deal with your debt.
Yeah, so we can maybe talk about that just here in a second, but I want to go back to that importance of reaching out to somebody who has that expert knowledge,
Right.
especially if your goal, like you mentioned, is to increase your savings, maybe start some retirement plans, some investments, because you mentioned there that those people that reach out for that professional advice, they are more on track. They stick with it much easier than somebody that maybe hasn't had that assistance to help them put that in place. Would you agree?
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Absolutely, Shannon.
And like you mentioned, they're more confident as well because it's okay to go and talk to somebody wherein you
Yes,
have questions. I mean, if you don't understand what an RRSP is or an education savings
that's
plan,
right.
anything like that, it's absolutely that's what those people are there to answer those questions for you, to give you that guidance. I mean, we can research all we want on the internet,
That's
but if
right.
we don't understand even the language that's being spoken, because it's a completely different vernacular when you're talking about money and finances and interest
Yes,
rates and
I agree.
all of these things, it's so important to really tap into those resources who have that knowledge, who can give you that instruction so that you can feel confident to
That's
be able
right.
to move forward into 2026, have those things set
Absolutely.
in place. So I think it's really, really good advice. Now, speaking about those people who are maybe having that unmanageable debt. I mean, there's a lot of us out there here in
There is a
Canada.
lot.
We're struggling. Equifax is their surveys are showing that we're falling into default on our credit. Talking to a licensed insolvency trustee, can you maybe just walk us through what are some of the benefits? What might that
Of
look
course.
like?
Well, to come and speak to a licensed insolvency trustee, it's always free and confidential. So when somebody makes the appointment, that is stress to them because that can be embarrassing, right? And so it's always confidential. It's absolutely free. Even if they come back a second time, there's no upfront cost to come and get some advice. What we do is we explain options. So we talk about money management. We go over the budget, what the goals, what are your goals? We talk a lot about that with people because it's really about them. It's about empowering them to help make decisions for themselves when they don't know where to start. And we talk about even building wealth. I agree with you, Shannon. A lot of people say, "Oh, I can't afford to start a savings account, or I can't even afford, to open up an RRSP or RESP for my kids." But you can. Savings can be like $10 a month. I think you can start an RSP or RESP for $25 a month. So when we go through all of that, we talk about, a wide range of things. It's not just dealing about the debt. Yes, we go over the options, of course, of bankruptcies and consumer proposals as options. We look at the budget. What are we going to do with the budget? What does this look like in your budget? And then we kind of go from there. And just because you're coming to see us does not mean that you have to commit to anything. There's no pressure here. A lot of people come in for information, and I think the compassion that you have with people, because it is so hard to reach out and ask for help. It is so hard. And I hear that every day. But by the time they leave, they say things to me like, "Oh my gosh, I should have done this maybe 6 months ago or a year ago." But it's very difficult, and acknowledging that they feel that way is vital. It's vital for the trust that you create with your clients. And no, coming to see a licensed insolvency trustee does not mean you have to commit to anything. No, you're not having to declare bankruptcy just because you come in and see us, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's so important as we're setting these new goals for ourselves in the new year, like I mentioned, tapping into those professionals, talking to a licensed insolvency trustee can just be one piece of that plan that maybe you're setting in place for yourself. So if you have started out January, maybe you've been able to start this at the end of December, where you have at least set down, looked at your budget. That's your starting place. And then look at your goals. If your one goal is to pay down debt and the debt load is quite high and you just
That's
need a
right.
little bit of guidance on how to do that, talking to a licensed insolvency trustee can absolutely assist with that because it'll
That's
help
right.
you meet that goal.
That's right.
And then if your other goal is, if you're looking at retirement or savings or any other kind of investment, talking to your financial planner as well. And
That's
then
right.
once you have those pieces together, that's all going to encompass your full financial plan for the 2026 year. Would you say that that's sort of a good strategy?
That's a fantastic strategy. Absolutely. When we're talking about basically, starting off with our resolutions as well, it can be very, very intimidating. And to constantly not having them to set themselves up for failure, right? It's like if I say, hey, I need to lose 40 pounds by the summertime. Well, I don't know if I'm going to achieve that. So we have to make sure at the very beginning of this, that we want to learn how to budget, that we want to manage our money a little bit better. That is the key. Not just saying, well, I need to budget. I know we all need to, but really wanting to make that change and then starting off small and just looking at it, every month, is this working? Is it not working? Give yourself the forgiveness that we've talked about if it's not working one month, but you can start over. Every month can be a brand new month. So people don't have to go back and have to, cancel everything. They get frustrated, where you can just simply start over again. So I think that is vital to success of budgeting and money management, to be honest with you, Shannon.
Well, Joanna, you've given some really great advice. Do you have any
Thank you.
final thoughts for our viewers as we head into this new year?
I would say, please, if you're struggling with debt, reach out to a licensed insolvency trustee. Reach out to BDO. We are kind, we're compassionate, we're, very empathetic. We're here to help you. We're here to help you make better decisions for you. It's not about us, it's about the client. And I really want to stress that. And if you need the extra guidance and you need, an extra couple of months to sort of get through this and think and start a budget and then come back, please do that. It's very, very, very important. If there is debt that's stopping you from those basic needs that you need, your shelter, your food, then please come and see us. We're here to help you, right? We're here to help the client really take control.
Well, Joanna, I really appreciate you being here today and taking the time,
Thank
all
you
of your
so
expert
much.
advice. It has been really enlightening, and I think it's given our viewers a lot to think about and hopefully give
Yes.
them a little bit of motivation to head into 2026 with their new financial plan. And I also want to thank you, our viewers, for watching. Until next time, I'm Shannon Jackson.